Welcome to Le Weekend, the bonus extended podcast episode for France News Brief. In case you missed one of our dailies, we've put together a convenient way to catch up on the stories from the past week in France, plus additional content about something related to culture, art, history, or current events at the end. If you enjoyed our daily updates, you'll find everything you need right here in a seamless recap of the week's most important headlines. Perfect for those who want to catch up in just one episode, Le Weekend is designed to keep you informed and engaged with a lighter touch at the end. Let's dive in. The news we covered on Monday. Telecom Group Altice France obtained the green light from the court for the safeguard procedure to restructure its debt to be brought down to 15.5 billion euros from 24.1 billion euros currently, as reported by L'Ageffi. French pharmaceutical group Servier has entered into exclusive talks to sell generic drug lab Biogarin to UK fund BC Partners for between 800 million and 1 billion euros. The deal would reopen the debate over France's health sovereignty at a time when drug shortages are becoming more frequent across Europe, according to sources as reported by RFI. The French wine and spirits industry called for continued negotiations on U.S. tariffs. The French Federation of Wine and Spirit Exporters deplored the entry into force on August 7th of a 15% customs duty on European products and warned of the effects of a drop in exports on the 600,000 direct and indirect jobs in the wine and spirits industry in France, as reported by Le Figaro. Eurostar services were severely disrupted today on routes to and from Paris after a section of the French rail network operated by SNCF was temporarily closed, as reported by Le Parisien. A 73-year-old newspaper vendor, originally from Pakistan, is said to receive one of France's most prestigious honors after more than 50 years of selling dailies on the terraces of cafes and restaurants in Paris's fashionable Latin Quarter, as reported by Reuters. Olympic champion Pauline Ferrand-Prévot became the first French woman to win the Tour de France Femmes on Sunday, in her first time competing. Prévot prevailed ahead of 2023 champion Demi Vollering, who finished second overall, as reported by France Info. For the first time ever, the majority of doctors in France are women. Out of approximately 237,200 practicing doctors, there are 118,900 women and 118,200 men as of January 1st, according to new data published by the Directorate of Research and Statistics, as reported by Le Monde. The news we covered on Tuesday. France's service sector contracted at a faster pace than expected in July, with political uncertainty and weak demand weighing heavily on business sentiment, according to an S&P Global survey reported by Reuters. Britain will begin implementing a deal to return some migrants who arrive on small boats to France within days, a key part of its plans to cut illegal migration after a treaty on the arrangement was ratified today, as reported by Le Monde. Eurostar trains gradually returned to normal this morning after an electrical fault disrupted traffic on Monday across the Channel. A number of trains in the early morning today were still delayed or cancelled, as reported by Le Figaro. A violent fire broke out in the Aude department between the cities of Narbonne and Carcassonne. Over 1,500 hectares are affected and 800 firefighters mobilized as the zone is under red alert for forest fires, as reported by Le Parisien. The news we covered on Wednesday. French judges tasked with investigating how the 2022 FIFA World Cup was awarded to Qatar are particularly focusing on a $100 million bonus the Qatari broadcaster Al Jazeera paid to FIFA after Qatar was selected as the host country for the tournament in 2010, as reported by Le Monde. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau will revoke the residency permit of the man suspected of lighting a cigarette using the flame of the tomb of the unknown soldier under the Arc de Triomphe earlier this week, according to sources cited by Le Figaro. Prime Minister François Bayrou called the wildfire in southern France that claimed one life and forced mass evacuations a catastrophe of unprecedented scale. Several firefighters have been injured after wildfire tore through 13,000 hectares, equivalent to 32,000 acres of forest, as reported by France 24. In related news, Le Figaro reported that this is the second largest fire in history in France. The news we covered on Thursday. France is to tighten visa rules for Algerian diplomats as deportation disputes escalate. President Emmanuel Macron asked for more firmness from his government towards Algeria and called for the formal suspension of the 2013 agreement, which primarily affects holders of diplomatic passports. The Algerian diaspora is the largest in France, and more than 1 in 10 French people have a direct link with Algeria, as reported by 20 Minutes. The Paris office of Israeli airline El Al was vandalized with spray paint and slogans during the night. French Transport Minister Philippe Tabarot condemned the act and expressed support for the airline staff, as reported by BFM. The Constitutional Council censored the reintroduction of a banned pesticide. The controversial Duplomb law has been partially overturned, while other parts were validated, such as the simplifications granted to larger livestock farms, as well as the construction of water storage facilities for agricultural purposes, as reported by France 24. Costume jewelry group Claire's announced that it has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection for its U.S. operations and several of its subsidiaries operating stores under the Claire's and Icing banners. It said that similar proceedings would also be initiated in Canada without providing a timeline, as reported by Le Figaro. Air France was the target of a data leak following fraudulent access. The airline said it took the necessary steps to restore security and that sensitive passenger data was not compromised, as reported by Le Figaro. Women's clothing brand Naf Naf, placed in receivership, has been partially taken over by Groupe Noir, which is retaining 12 stores. The brand could be relaunched in a few months, as was the case for fashion brand Jennifer, as reported by Le Parisien. The news we covered on Friday. France expects the wine output to rebound from the weather-hit 2024 low. The Agriculture Ministry said that wine production is set to rebound by at least 10% this year from weather-hit 2024 output, though the recovery will be curbed by the loss of some vines in southwestern France under an industry restructuring program, as reported by Reuters. France's unemployment rate remained stable in the second quarter. Unemployment will stand at 7.5% of the active population, as reported by Boursier. French President Emmanuel Macron reaffirmed France's full support for a ceasefire in Ukraine and the launch of talks aimed at reaching a lasting and solid peace following a long discussion with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders on Thursday, as reported by Reuters. France's top court gave the green light for direct mayoral elections in Paris, Lyon, and Marseille. The voting system in France's three largest cities will change in 2026, allowing voters to cast their ballots directly for central city councillors, as reported by Le Monde. A new heat wave is coming to France. 11 French departments were placed on orange alert today. For Saturday, Météo France announces that 28 departments in the south will be affected as a new heat wave, the second this summer, sweeps across the country, as reported by France 24. Prime Minister François Bayrou is turning to YouTube to defend deep budget cuts aimed at bringing the country's soaring debt under control. Bayrou says France is running out of time to fix its finances and wants the public to understand what's at stake. You are listening to Le Weekend by France News Brief, your one-stop destination for everything we covered this week. And now, let's go to a bonus story. The announcement that the famed Bayeux tapestry will be loaned to the United Kingdom for the first time in nearly a millennium marks an unprecedented event in the modern history of art and cultural exchange. This exceptional embroidery, which has remained in France since the late Middle Ages, will be displayed at the British Museum in London between September 2026 and July 2027. The loan, finalized through a historic agreement between the UK and France, offers a rare opportunity for millions to view one of the world's most unique narrative artifacts on British soil. But why is the Bayeux tapestry so rare and important that its temporary relocation has become an international headline? To understand this, one must delve into its origins, artistry, history, and continued legacy. For centuries, the Bayeux tapestry has resided in its namesake town in Normandy, becoming a symbol of Franco-British heritage and medieval artistry. Past requests by Britain to borrow this masterpiece for events like the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II and the 900th anniversary of the Battle of Hastings were never honored. It is only now, as part of a broader cultural exchange and the temporary closure of the Bayeux Museum for renovation, that the tapestry will cross the Channel. This loan is extraordinary due to the tapestry's fragility, age, and value as a World Heritage item. The British Museum's Sainsbury Exhibitions Gallery was selected specifically for its advanced conservation facilities, and both governments have underscored the need for utmost care during transportation and display. The rarity of the tapestry stems from several factors, one being scale and preservation. Measuring nearly 70 meters, that's 230 feet, long and 50 centimeters, about 1.6 feet high, the tapestry is unmatched in size among surviving early medieval textiles. The fact that it remains mostly intact after more than 9 centuries is a near miracle, given the tumultuous history of Europe and the inherent vulnerability of textile art. Another factor is its singular historical narrative. No other textile or artwork from the period offers such a detailed, contemporaneous account of an epoch-defining event, the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Its 58, sometimes said to be 70, rich embroidered scenes uniquely document people, technology, warfare, and society in 11th century Europe. Then there is its artistic rarity. Despite its name, the Bayeux tapestry is technically an embroidery, not a tapestry. Anecdotal and historical evidence suggest it may be the only extant example of its kind. No other large narrative embroideries from the early Romanesque period have survived. And finally, the factor of historic preservation. The tapestry has narrowly escaped destruction multiple times during the French Revolution, the Second World War, and periods of political upheaval in France. Its continued survival adds to its aura and rarity. Scholars widely agree that the Bayeux tapestry was commissioned around the latter half of the 11th century, probably around 1070. That's within a generation after the Battle of Hastings. The likely patron was Bishop Odo of Bayeux, the half-brother of William the Conqueror, as his image and name appear prominently in several scenes. Despite its location in Bayeux for centuries, stylistic and textual evidence strongly indicates that the tapestry was designed and embroidered in England, possibly in Canterbury, which was then a center of high-quality Anglo-Saxon embroidery. The narrative's focus and the craftsmanship both suggest the hands of skilled English embroiderers, revered in Europe for their expertise at the time. The tapestry consists of 9 linen panels sewn together to create a long, continuous narrative. The images are worked in colored wool threads, employing techniques known broadly as stem stitch and laid and couched work. These choices reflect the practicalities and resources of the era as much as the aesthetics. The tapestry unfolds like a modern-day comic in panels that tell a complex, multi-layered story, mainly focused on the events leading up to and including the Battle of Hastings in 1066. The sequence begins with King Edward the Confessor dispatching Harold Godwinson to Normandy, follows Harold's adventures and alleged oath to William, his ascension to the English throne, and finally details the invasion led by William, Duke of Normandy. Scenes are packed with period detail: armor, weapons, architecture, feasting, animals, and mythic beasts. Borders are decorated with Aesopian fables, agricultural motifs, and symbolic elements, providing scholars with invaluable insight into imagery and storytelling from the era. While simple in materials, the Bayeux tapestry's artistry is profound. Its creators deployed a visual language that combines documentary realism with stylized, sometimes whimsical forms. The figures, gestures, and expressions, the gestures of the animals, and the staging of scenes reveal not only the events, but also the mores and the humor of the time. More than 600 humans, nearly 200 horses, as well as dozens of ships, dogs, and mythical beasts appear along its length. The use of Latin inscriptions alongside images ensures readers and viewers could follow the narrative, a rarity for the period and a testament to its intention as a mass communication tool. Historians debate the tapestry's original intent. Was it simply to record a great victory, or also propaganda justifying William's conquest? Most agree it was intended to legitimize William's claim to the English throne, depicting Harold as having broken an oath to William, an act of sacrilege in the medieval worldview. This makes a tapestry not only a work of art, but also a sophisticated political instrument in fabric. The Bayeux tapestry has passed through many hands and survived fires, war, neglect, relocation, and even use as a wagon cover during revolutionary chaos. Its first public display in the Bayeux Cathedral in 1077 is recorded, but by the 15th century, it appeared only during special annual ceremonies. Rediscovered by scholars in the 18th century, the tapestry became a subject of study and fascination, leading to its eventual placement and conservation at the Bayeux Museum. The tapestry is now registered in UNESCO's Memory of the World program as a documentary treasure noted for its unique work and element of mystery. It is an essential sourcebook for historians of medieval Europe. It provides low-angle views of shipbuilding, weaponry, political figures, and everyday life, from hairstyles to farming, allowing modern scholars to reconstruct a world otherwise sparsely described in text. Its symbolism, narrative structure, and technique have influenced literature, art, and even modern visual storytelling. Its status as a document unique in Europe stems from its faithfulness to the events, its lack of gilded embellishment, unlike so many other treasures of the age, and its focus on practical, human, and political themes. For generations, it has stood as an emblem of the intertwined destinies of England and France, and of the capacity of art to function as both propaganda and documentary evidence. The Bayeux Tapestry's upcoming loan to the United Kingdom is a reaffirmation of the value placed on this shared cultural heritage. For a brief period, its remarkable journey will come full circle, allowing new audiences to reflect on the unpredictable tides of history that have preserved it for almost 1,000 years. Thank you for listening to Le Weekend, your one-stop destination for everything we covered this past week in France. Catch our daily France News Brief roundups of the main news in France every weekday, wherever you get your podcasts. Stay informed.